Thanks to CJ McCollum and Grant Williams, the Milwaukee Bucks chose Myles Turner over Damian Lillard. Yeah, it's a lot to talk about. Let's go. Look, Dame Dolla's still going to get his bread. He's going to get $22 million a year over the next 5 years. The main thing is that the Bucks actually chose to let go of the future Hall of Famer Damian Lillard in favor of this man, Myles Turner. How did we get here? Why did we get here? And is this enough to keep the Nigerian freak Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee? Myles Turner, who we killed on this platform, on this channel, for his performance in the NBA Finals, walks away from the Pacers and gets a 4-year, $107 million deal. Now, I have to do this to Myles Turner because I think we need to reassess what the hell the Bucks just did. Myles Turner's stats from the NBA Finals goes as follow: 11, 4, and 1.5. And that 1.5 is generous. It's actually 1.4. We round down on this channel. 1 assist. So 11 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. 11, 4, and 1. This man had 31 rebounds over 7 games in the NBA Finals. 31 rebounds over 7 games. Obi Toppin had more rebounds in the finals than Myles Turner. Tyrese Halliburton, who blew his leg out, had more rebounds than Myles Turner. Obi Toppin, who was coming off the bench, got more rebounds than Myles Turner. Yet this is who the Bucks are entrusting and trying to secure a bag to and throw a bag to entice Giannis Antetokounmpo to stay in Milwaukee. What the hell just happened? So many things were being reported in regards to Myles Turner leading into the finals. I kept telling y'all, yo, Shams went out of his way in the pregame of Game 1 of the NBA Finals to say the Pacers are willing to go into the luxury tax to retain the services of one Myles Turner. Yet, the reporting by Shams is now saying, since the Game 7 exit, Turner's reps pushed to get a deal done. Ultimately, Indiana's aversion to the tax, which grew after Tyrese Halliburton's injury, allowed the Bucks to get the new franchise center. Okay, Shams, so which one is it? Clearly now we know who was feeding the info to Shams Charania. And I discussed that when I was talking about this in regards to Shams is way more plugged in with players and players' agents than he is with team executives. Okay, so you always have to understand the slant. Where's his slant coming from? Who's feeding him this information? It clearly now is certified that this was Turner's agents putting that bug in Shams' ear, and Shams ran with it leading into Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Because clearly, if Indiana was really that serious and they were willing to go into the luxury tax, Halliburton injury be damned. I know that's an easy excuse to fall back on, but they watched 7 games of the NBA Finals just like we did. They know damn well they weren't trying to go into no luxury tax for no damn Myles Turner. You got out-rebounded by point guards. You got out-rebounded by bench players, and yet and still he's able to walk away from the Pacers and go to arguably a better situation and still cash out and get a bag. And the deal is short enough that he can get out of it after the 4th year because it's a player option for year 4. So he could get out in year 3 and cash out again. Myles Turner, who can't rebound worth a damn despite being 6'11", some say he's a footer. It doesn't really matter. The boy doesn't box out. And this is what is supposed to be used as a catalyst, as a proving point that the Bucks are serious. Now, you could argue Myles Turner is an upgrade over Brook Lopez. But that's not saying much. That's an extremely low bar to jump over. Now, the whole thing of what Dame and Giannis were able to do, or what they didn't have enough time to do, is documented. 2 seasons together, 29 minutes and 28 seconds. That's the total number of playoff minutes shared by Giannis and Dame over 2 seasons. Now, when they were on the floor together, the results were dominant. The highest scoring duo in 2024 and also the highest scoring duo this past season, 2025. And they never had a chance. Well, no, look, we have to give props. They did get that Emirates Cup. The Bucks did win a chip. They won the Emirates Cup this past season. But when you're really looking at it, and it's really disheartening, they played 119 of a possible 175 games together in 3 of a possible 11 playoff games. This was never meant to be. But if you go into Bucks duo history, which is not really that crazy. I mean, we talking about Big Dog and Vin Baker back in the day, or maybe Big Dog and Jesus Shuttlesworth. Maybe you're talking about Oscar Robertson and Kareem back in the day. 15 games each with 30-plus points was the most by a duo in Bucks history. So it did work the few times they were able to actually be out there on the court. It's kind of like the Nets when they had KD, the Beard, and Kai. And the record was amazing when they played together, but they so rarely play together that it didn't really matter in the long run, and they had to break that whole thing down. But ultimately, the Bucks chose to get the contract out from underneath them in terms of Damian Lillard and pick up what could be a shorter-term deal and a cheaper deal in Myles Turner. What does this mean for Giannis? Well, now everyone's running with narratives of, well, does this mean Giannis is going? This is me. Giannis is on the block. And you hear the usual suspects, your Miamis, your Golden States, your Knicks. You're hearing this usual suspects. But no, Giannis ain't going nowhere. I don't feel like Giannis is going to go anywhere. I don't think there's going to be any big star movements. I know the Luka thing has changed how we view things. The Luka thing, the Luka Doncic trade makes us think, well, anybody could get traded. If Luka could get traded, there was a lot of things happening behind the scenes. And maybe we will get to talk about those things one day, but it's certainly not today. But there was a lot of other things going on behind the scenes outside of just the Mavs were tired of Luka, or Luka didn't work out enough, so let's trade him. Like, there's more stuff. If you have any common sense, you are fully aware that there had to be something more than Luka doesn't work out enough, or Luka drinks too much beer, okay? If you know, you know, but hopefully one day we'll get there. You see what's happening with Malik Beasley? If you know, you know. Anyway, how did we get here? So there's a provision clause. There's a waive and stretch clause. And everyone's saying, well, how come more teams can't do this? Well, it's very restrictive in terms of what you can do. And again, this is thanks to the CBA, which means we can say thank you again to CJ McCollum and Grant Williams. Teams can have no more than 15% of the cap in stretch salary in a given season. So in essence, to stretch out, the waive and stretches, they take your contract and they'll pay you out over half the length of your salary plus one. Double the length of the years remaining on your contract plus 1 year. Okay, so Dame had 2 years left on his deal. Okay, so double that is 4, right? We could do that math. Then plus 1 is 5. So that's why you got to have 5 years now where the Bucks are going to have to pay Dame Lillard in his contract. But that $22 million that Dame is going to get that we talked about at the beginning, that has to equal 15% of the cap in those seasons. In a given season. Sorry, not every single year, but in a given season. So they were able to clear the 15% marker, the Bucks is, by about $600K. So they just found enough space under the cap. That's why some of the other moves they made, Connaughton is gone. Like, they're able to make some moves. Brook Lopez is gone, because to get the move, to free up the space, to get Dame off the books. Because again, with him being hurt, you're not even going to get him early into next season. You might not get him until the playoffs. of next year, even if you even make it that far with the roster as constituted before free agency. So with that being said, you clear all the books, you get the money off the cap, and get able to just squeeze under by $600K the ability to waive and stretch Damian Lillard. Now, other teams can do this. This example is talking about Brad Beal. Well, how come the Suns can't just go out there and do this same thing with Brad Beal to get him up out of there? The Suns are carrying $3.8 million in stretch salary already. Adding Beal's full amount would take Phoenix over the 15% allowable amount. So you can't just do this to any old player. This isn't like the amnesty clause back in the day. This is different. Waive and stretch, different than the amnesty clause, okay? So what does this mean for the Bucks? What does this mean for Giannis? What this means to me for Giannis is he's about to be a point guard. Giannis Antetokounmpo is about to be a point forward. Call it point Giannis, point freak. We're still trying to figure out what the connotation is going to be. But Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to have more ball handling responsibilities because there's no point guard out there unless you're talking about dusting off the point fraud, unless you're talking about throwing a big bag, a restricted bag, but a bag nonetheless at Josh Giddey. I don't know who's out there that you can go get, okay? Maybe you try to convince the Blazers to give up Jrue Holiday and bring Jrue back, run that back one more again. But as it stands right now, I think the Bucks should even more so hand the keys to Giannis. You can't make him happy, right? You can't make him happy by bringing in star-studded talent. Myles Turner is not a star-studded talent. Myles Turner is an upgrade over Brook Lopez, but he's certainly a downgrade in comparison to the duo of Dame and Giannis, right? To feed into the ego of Giannis, to keep him happy, you're going to have to give him the ball. And we've already seen glimpses of what happens when Giannis has the ball. Did you know this past season, after Dame went down, Giannis was able to average a triple-double in the month of April. Triple-double. And it wasn't a cheap triple-double. He had games with 15 assists. He had a game with 20 assists. Now, again, small sample size, only 6 games, but you see it here on the screen. For the month of April, 32 points, 12 rebounds, 12 assists. And he had 4 straight games in the month of April where he got a triple-double. 37 and 11. No, sorry, 3 straight games. 3 straight games. 35, 20, and 17. 36, 10, and 15, 23, 10, and 13. All of these are in wins, by the way. And these teams that they beat weren't chump. They beat the Heat, they beat the Timberwolves, they beat the Pistons. Yeah, they beat Phoenix and hi, Philly. But Giannis for the month of April, super small sample size, he averaged a triple-double. So it should be time to unleash point Giannis. Let's just go ahead and do it because you're not going to go get anybody, in my opinion. You're not going to go get anyone that's worth a damn that could walk in and become a facilitating point guard, which is what Giannis Antetokounmpo needs. I know the thing of Dame was nice and it was sexy on paper, but those two were never going to win a Larry O.B. The styles are too contrasting, right? The Jrue Holiday type, that archetype, is what the Bucks need. That does not exist currently on this roster. And I don't see anyone in free agency that fits that mold that could play at the level that Jrue Holiday did when they won the chip. So if that's not available, then unleash the Nigerian freak. Unleash him. And let him go be the point forward. Let him go be point Giannis and cook up because the numbers are there. He did it when Dame went down. For a whole year, we could get ridiculous production from the Nigerian freak. So why not let him try? If you're trying to convince him to stay. Because the good thing about Myles Turner is it's not like Giannis is going to be fighting with him for rebounds. Like, Myles Turner going to be in the corner. Myles Turner is just going to be either standing there in the paint, not boxing out. So Giannis still going to get his boards. It's not like Giannis' production in the paint is going to get any worse because Myles Turner's on his team. Myles Turner is going to be doing the same thing Brook Lopez was, standing out 35 feet away from the basket, or the few times he's in the paint, just standing there, just being a body, just being a dude, getting out-rebounded by bench players, just being a guy. So none of that will actually matter. It's a player that could be reasonable, that can fit into the archetype of what Brook Lopez is now leaving and take away him to the Clippers. You bring in Myles Turner, similar production, younger, assumingly better defensively for sure. I don't know if he's a better shooter than Brook Lopez, but equivalent. So it's an upgrade. Now they just need to either find a guard or unleash the Nigerian Freak. And for me, if I am the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm unleashing the Nigerian Freak.